Welcome back, everybody. Here's a scary fact about dolls. Did you know that dolls are one of the most common objects to be associated with ghosts, demons, and other terrifying things? For example, the ghastly tale of Robert the doll is still told today. It's said that this doll possessed by an evil spirit tormented its owners and even caused physical harm. But that's not the only story of its kind. There are countless tales of dolls coming to life, moving on their own, interacting with people in ways that they shouldn't be able to. So how does this relate to the video you're watching now? Well, today, we're going to be diving deep into another story of a haunted doll. So if you're ready to get scared, let's get started. By the way, before we start, we'd like to thank you all so much for the support you've given us. We're so close to hitting 2 million subscribers. It's all thanks to you guys. So thank you so much. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our spine-chilling stories. Have you ever felt like your doll was watching you? Maybe you thought it was just a creepy feeling because your doll was staring at you with its blank eyes. But what if it really was alive? What if it wanted to do more than just stare? That's exactly what happened to one woman when she got a hold of her new doll. It was a seemingly ordinary toy until strange things started happening around the house. Unexplainable noises, sudden changes in temperature, objects moving on their own. Then there were the dreams. Nightmares of a shadowy figure lurking in the corner of her room, always watching, never speaking. The longer she ignored these signs, the worse things became. The doll seemed to grow more lifelike day by day. Its eyes following her every move, its smile widening into something sinister. But why? What was the reason behind this doll's eerie behavior? Before we delve into the chilling truth behind this haunted doll, let's meet the woman whose life it turned upside down. Her name was Sarah. A lover of all things vintage, she had an affinity for antique toys. One rainy afternoon while browsing an antique store, she stumbled upon a dusty shelf holding an array of forgotten childhood treasures. Among them was a porcelain doll with almond-shaped eyes and rosy red lips. Despite its worn-out clothes and faded beauty, Sarah felt an inexplicable connection with the doll. She couldn't explain it, but she felt compelled to buy it. The antique store owner, a wizened old woman, warned her about the doll, muttering something about it being best left undisturbed. But Sarah, intrigued rather than frightened, took the doll home without a second thought. As soon as the doll entered Sarah's home, strange things began to happen. At first, it was subtle. A floorboard creaking when no one was above it, a flickering of lights, the scent of lavender wafting through the air. Sarah dismissed these occurrences as tricks of her imagination, settling comfortably into her new home. But then the incidents escalated. The doll's unsettling stare seemed to follow her around the house. When she looked away and returned, its head would have turned slightly as if watching her every move. Fear began to grip Sarah's heart, tightening its icy fingers around her chest. She tried convincing herself it was just a doll, an inanimate object with no life of its own. But as the days passed, the line between reality and nightmare blurred. One night, Sarah awoke from a dreamless sleep to the sound of whispers. They seemed to emanate from the corner of her room where the doll sat on her antique dresser. At first, she thought she was just tired and her mind was playing tricks on her. But then the whispers grew louder, forming words that sent shivers down her spine. "Get away," they hissed. "Leave me alone." Startled, Sarah sat up in bed. The whispers intensified, swirling around her in a cacophony of fear. And then she saw it. The doll's head was turned towards her, its eyes gleaming with an eerie light. Sarah screamed, scrambling back against the headboard. The whispers reached a crescendo, and then just as abruptly as they started, they stopped. The doll's head slowly turned back, its vacant eyes staring into the darkness. In the aftermath of this terrifying experience, Sarah found herself consumed by fear and uncertainty. She questioned her sanity, wondering if she had finally snapped under the pressure of her busy life. But as time went on, the whispers continued, growing stronger with each passing day. Sarah was losing her grasp on reality. She became withdrawn, her life revolving around the constant fear of the doll and its haunting whispers. Even her closest friends and family were unable to penetrate the wall of terror she had built around herself. The once vibrant woman was now a shell of her former self, trapped in a horrifying cycle of fear and despair. But the horrifying encounters were far from over. One evening, as Sarah was preparing dinner, she heard the whispering again. This time it was coming from the kitchen. As she cautiously approached the source of the whispers, she noticed that the radio had turned itself on. The static filled the air as if someone was trying to send a message. Suddenly the radio crackled to life, and a distorted voice whispered, "Beware the lavender eyes, it watches, it waits." No escape from its sight. Sarah recoiled in shock. The voice had come from the doll. The porcelain face stared back at her, its painted smile twisted into a grotesque sneer. Was the doll trying to communicate with her? But how? Determined to uncover the truth, Sarah delved into the doll's history. She scoured antique shops and online forums seeking any information she could find. Finally, she came across a faded newspaper clipping that mentioned the doll's previous owner, a woman named Eliza. According to the article, Eliza had been a recluse who lived in the Victorian era. The doll, it seemed, had been passed down to her from her grandmother. But there was more. Local folklore spoke of a legend, a tale of a doll that came to life and wreaked havoc on its owner's life. Some said the doll was possessed by an evil spirit, while others believed it was merely a figment of Eliza's overactive imagination. Determined to break the cycle of fear, Sarah decided to confront the doll. Armed with the knowledge of its past and the strength that comes from facing one's fears, she approached the doll. Its eyes seemed to bore into her soul, but she stood firm. She looked back, meeting its gaze with defiance. The whispers started, slithering around her like venomous snakes. But this time Sarah didn't flinch. She had come too far to turn back now. She reached out a hand to touch the doll's cold porcelain skin, and in that moment, everything changed. The doll's head snapped back, revealing a horrifying sight. Beneath its porcelain skin there was no longer a smiling face, but a snarling demonic visage. Its eyes, once a symbol of innocence, were now burning orbs of hatred. Sarah gasped, stumbling back in horror. The whispers crescendoed into screams, echoing around her as the doll lunged. Time seemed to slow down as the doll shot towards her, its gnarled hands reaching out to grab her. Paralyzed with fear, Sarah watched in terror as the creature advanced. Its laughter, a mix of static and screams, filled the room. Sarah cried out, realizing that the legend was true. The doll wasn't just a toy. It was a conduit to unimaginable horrors. And in that moment, she understood that she had unleashed something she could never hope to control. With a final ear-splitting screech, the doll lunged, enveloping Sarah in a nightmare from which she would never awaken. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating an eerie scene. The doll sat on the dresser, its demonic features replaced by its former porcelain smile. The room was silent, the only sound the chirping of birds outside. It was as if the previous night's horror had been nothing but a fever dream. But the truth was far more sinister. Sarah was gone, vanished without a trace, leaving behind only the whispers of her terror and the chilling legend of the doll with lavender eyes. The legend of the Labubu doll has been passed down through generations, serving as a cautionary tale about the dangers of dabbling with the unknown. The story of Sarah and the doll with lavender eyes is just one of many similar tales that have emerged over the years, each story adding another layer of fear and mystery to the already terrifying legend. And so the tale serves as a reminder to those who hear it, to be wary of the dolls we bring into our lives, for they may just be more than we bargained for. We hope you enjoyed this terrifying tale. If you have ever had an encounter with a creepy doll, be sure to comment below and share your experience with us. And if you want to hear more spine-chilling stories, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.